beyond. Well, everybody, good morning to you. If you're joining us for the very first time this morning, or maybe for the very first time, we welcome you and thank you very much for being here. This is Exploring Buddhist Concepts with Cassie Senghor, and it's a real pleasure to have Cassie here with us on a Thursday. So, Cassie, good morning to you. How are you? Cassie, if you're hearing me, you need to unmute your mic.
Good morning, Sir Charles, and to all your listeners. I am in a bit of discomfort, but the show must go on.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I ain't really, complaining, but here we are today. And do you remember where we left off last time, Sir Charles?
No, I can't say that I do. I think we did like 3 of the concepts. I don't think that's right concepts, but what we were talking about, we did like 3 of the I can't remember the exact name for it.
Right. Well, this is how Buddhism works. At least you remember the correct number. You have the number.
Yes,
right.
At least I have some part of it right.
Yeah, man, that is 50 out of 100, Yeah, you get the 3 things, you get the number right. And it is actually the 3 realms.
Realms, right.
Right. And do you remember what they are?
Not offhand.
If I give you a hint of the first one, you might remember that the first one was the hell realm.
Go ahead. I have to pick it up again. Don't worry. You go ahead.
All right. I was in your brain there. No?
Yeah,
right?
Making me work overtime now.
Right. and also, this might be the case for most of the listeners, unless they're taking notes and that kind of thing, that they're not going to remember exactly what is what. Hence the reason we call for repetition along the way. There's a lot of repetition so that we can recall what is what. So I did briefly touch on the 3 realms: the hell realm, the hungry ghost realm, and the animal realm. And the animal realm. And then I said, well, look, after that, or before that, depending on which way you want to look at it, there is the human realm. Above the human realm, we have the jealous God realm and the God realm. But today we want to spend, all of the morning actually, we want to spend on the human realm. As human beings, here we are. And the Buddhist concept about the human realm is that it is marked by suffering. And how it marks itself by suffering is that there are 3 kinds of suffering, right, according to how the Buddha taught it. The first is the suffering of change. And the pain we feel I'm reading, when we are suddenly thrown into a state of misery. The second kind is suffering upon suffering. That's when we are already in a state of unhappiness and something is thrown over that. You know, you have the cold and now you come and you get asthma or you get arthritis on top of that. And the third kind of suffering is what is called the suffering in the making. Let's call it that, right? But the human realm is also marked by a lot of desire, and those two things really contribute heavily to what we experience in the human realm: suffering and desire. In the question of desire, for instance, we can look at ourselves and see, for instance, you know, how that works among us. You know, it's a matter of always wanting something. Let us check ourselves and see if that is not so. You know, you get up in the morning and you plan your day, and within that day, you know, you want to either buy this or go here, or you know, normal stuff. But over and beyond that, we really have some big desires, and that we want to have happiness. We want the wars and them to end. We want our relationships to go well. We want our children to grow up decently. Well, that now is some of us want that. Obviously, there are others who want things too and have different approaches. Right? They want to have things quickly. They want to have things through corrupt means. I think we were just discussing that with the cars and, you know, people buying cars just to sell over and all of that. People want money. You know, they save without even bothering, you know, that you can't do anything without money, so we want money. And some people will go to any extent to get this money. And the thing about this, though, is that even in both the small and the big matters, what you'll find happening is that, for instance, let us say you want something that a friend of yours has, you know, neighborliness. And you look at your neighbor, and I remember a long time it used to be a matter of curtains. You know, this might sound a bit far-fetched, but it's a truism, you know. It used to be a question of, you have that kind of curtain, I must have one better. Today it might be a car. You have that kind of car, I must have one better. Your children going to school, you are going to that school, I want my child transferred to a privileged school, so to speak, and so on and so forth. So desire, now these desires that we are referring to really lead us into suffering, because we will either get what we want, we will either not get what we want, and sometimes we get what we don't want, you know. And in either case, or in all three cases, we find ourselves suffering. Because if we get, when we do get what we want more, or we want a different kind. When we don't get what we want, we are up in arms against whoever people see might be denying us that, or whatever system or institution it is, and we point fingers. We hear about that daily, you know what I mean? We hear about that daily in all the programs that we are doing and morning talks and everything. It's a matter of what do we want. You have calypsos that tell us about wanting, and that tell us that as a nation, we do not know what we want. There's a story well, I got it from Christianity when I was going to school. I think from either one of the priests or prefects or whoever. I even have come from Father Panton, who was before he became principal of Fatima and so on. Nevertheless, the story is this. A nice, simple story. But there was this man who owned a number of horses. He had a stable. And one day he was out riding, and a young gentleman asked him for a horse. He said, well, I do, a little farming and some traveling and so on. And it would really be nice if I had a horse to take me around, and that was the time when horses did a lot of that kind of work. And of course, not in our country here, but in Europe or wherever. And so he asked him for a horse. So the owner and rider said, sure, I'll give you a horse, but you must do this for me. So he said, well, okay, whatever is required, I will do. He said, you must say the Lord's Prayer from beginning to end without interruption. There must be no distraction. So the young man who made the request began saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, and went on and went on. And when he reached, give us this day our daily bread, he looked up at the horseman and said, will I get the saddle too? And that made him not get the horse, because in the midst of saying that prayer, he forgot himself and put in an extra desire there, which disqualified him then, because the horseman said, well, you have to say it straight, So that's just an example coming from that kind of area of life where a simple story, where we are easily distracted, always on the lookout to get more and more and more. But one of the things that Buddhism says that we really, really, really want is happiness, lasting happiness. And that desire for happiness is shown in, if not everything, most everything we do. The problem with it is that we do not know how to achieve lasting happiness. And therefore, we settle for temporary happiness there, and we know how we do that, whether it's might be a physical kind of happiness, where we go for, you want to have the perfect body, you want to have good sex, you want to have rich meals, etc., etc. It does go. And that physical area And then there's the mental area, where the mind, we want academic achievements, we want to be able to do this and do that perfectly. We want successes, we want to be the best of everything, all well and good. Sometimes the rug is pulled from us, or we might go on to when it happens that we seem to be getting these things. It is rare, and we pull out these people. Like for instance, we had a couple on your network a few days ago. You remember that, Sir Charles?
I think vaguely so. That is in relation to what?
That is in relation to people who have had successes upon successes.
Oh, right. I now understand it. That's when we had Mr. Tousse and them.
Right. Again, this is time was 100 out of 100. Mr. and Mrs. Tousse, right, who had successes in most of the fields, whether it be physical, mental, and of course, in Mr. Toussaint's case, spiritual too. And there is desire and suffering in all of that also. We have had many examples of the clergy or among monks or among pundits or what have you, having been successful in their various fields, but also having been, caught out then and being, not getting what they want and losing status in their particular areas of life. So that I just included the spiritual. So you have this the physical, going for success, and sometimes getting all of it as the rare ones. They have highlighted in a general manner. It might be average, and in some cases, people don't achieve it at all. And then you have those people with high wants, wanting this, wanting that, and either getting or not getting, as the case might be. Now, I'm talking here about both suffering and change as characteristics of the human realm, right? Where change is concerned, we know very well how we resist change. Sometimes the change might be as the regular changes that take place in life, from young to old to death. And you find people are resisting along the way. People don't want to be called old and that kind of thing. People who resist any kind of, all kind of changes. We have that in our politics, of course, because some people feel in the politics, the status quo that ought to remain. And so when it changes now, fingers are pointed, I mean, I think that what I'm pointing out here is a bit so close to the heart, then, so obvious. And yet, I hear people, for instance, the other day I heard a radio host not on your station, Sir Charles, talking about that he doesn't even want to use the word suffering. And it reminded me of another kind of suffering, which has to do with race, because it reminded me of the struggle that we went through. We, meaning people of African descent, went through it, even getting that word African to be used on the radio or in any media. Nobody wanted to touch that word at all, you know. So that is how sometimes we resist change. And even up to today, you know, people are resisting that kind of change. They don't want us, then let us say, to go too far. You know, they want to maintain their own distance and that kind of thing. It doesn't sound nice, but it's real. And, you know, it causes a lot of people, you know, as the two sons would have said, you know, they come from behind the bridge. We know about that. You know what I mean? And so I think when I was listening to that program, somebody said, I think Tony Fraser, he said, when you are brown, stick around. And then he went to say, when you are white, you are right. And then he said, when you are black, go to the back. And Tusa corrected him and said, stay in the back. He didn't do it like how I'm doing it now. He just said, you know, stay in the back. So that is to tell you where we are in terms of both suffering and change together. The predicament that a lot of us find ourselves in. In the wider scheme of things, we have these wars and so on going on right now, and people take sides. And we have a desire for one side to win. We have a desire for another side, the other side to be obliterated, or to cool it down, or to bring peace, as the case might be. And we use prayer. We use whatever means we have, you know, when we are not in the middle of it. So we use prayer, we use supplication, we use protests and so on to see if we could bring some harmony into this human realm. But it's not easy because let me tell you all something. In the course of a day, a human could be in all 6 realms. Not even, it might even take as long as a day for a human being to be in a hell realm, very, very upset, you know, marked by quarreling and this and that and so on and so forth. Change to the hungry ghost realm, displaying greed because, you know, you want this, you have to get this, which is what might have even led to the anger of the hell realm and so on. Then you have the animal realm. So, you know, you have to behave now like an animal because you're trying your best to get what it is you want and you ain't getting it. And, you know, either you are behaving or you're being called by an animal name, as the case might be. We know these things. You know, I'm just highlighting them so that we can understand what this realm is really and truly about as a realm, you know, and not as something to be taken for granted and over time where we feel, well, this is how it is. So these are some of the characteristics of the human realm, and this is where Um, this is where now, because we are again humans, and we have the ability to think, and we have also the ability, as Sir Charles would say. What would you say, Sir Charles? Where you think I'm going with what you say? That we
Um,
have the ability to go
I don't know. I'm following you, but
above,
you go ahead. I'm listening.
uh, above, and
Above and beyond.
that's right,
All right, good.
right. So Charles, I'm pulling you in this morning, but I'm pulling you in.
That's okay. That's good.
Yeah, we have the ability to go above and beyond. In so saying, um, the ability we have, one of the abilities we have, which brings us to how Buddhism is very helpful in this regard, is by working on our mindfulness. We can develop mindfulness, which is to say, to pay attention to the things we do in deeper and deeper ways to bring about peace, love, harmony, all the good things that we know will help us to live with each other. So we get them in posters every morning, I believe, among our friends who text us good morning and so on chats, on our chats. We get these posters that wish us a good day and, may peace and love uh, be with you throughout the day and that sort of thing. We have the ability as humans to develop wisdom also. And this, of course, according to Buddhism, is most essential. It is one of the wings of the bird, as you might say, wisdom being one and compassion being the other. And in Buddhism, we train every day towards attaining wisdom and compassion, because wisdom is going to help us to do the right thing in the right way, and compassion is going to help us to understand what is going on around us and to give to those people, including ourselves, what is needed to help us to develop ourselves as persons or to take us above and beyond, take us into the realm of spirituality. In the human realm also, according to Buddhism, there's a tendency, on the other hand, towards ignorance, craving, and aversion. I spoke a little about the craving earlier on in my introduction. Ignorance here is simply not knowing the truth of things. Then, it is seeing things as we would like to see them, and not seeing them as they really are. And in Buddhism, we train towards seeing things as they truly are. Again, through meditation, through study and other practices, we can train ourselves towards religion and towards removing ignorance, removing craving, and removing aversion. Aversion. What is aversion? Aversion is the tendency to push away what we don't want. I remember there were two things, right? But I referred to one just now when I talked about the radio host who said he doesn't even use the word, doesn't even like to use the word suffering. You know, he ain't that. And the other thing is, the other example that comes to mind about aversion is the tendency to avoid what is in front of us. Then. Okay, let us say we are meditating, and what meditation does is bring up tendencies within us which might shock us. Sometimes we might say, "No, that can't be me." I am not that kind of person. But here it is that you are confronted with it, and rather than acknowledge it, accept it, so that it can be dealt with, you push it away one time, right? It might be jealousy, it might be envy, it might be something very deep seated within you that you have suppressed or not bother to think much about over time. I remember just the other day, because in a way, I like to bring examples that are current, and just as we are on the, I hope people are listening to me. I listen a lot to radio. I'm a radio man, right? And I heard the other day where someone was giving advice about shutting down there, which is supposed to be good advice, that you shut down, you don't take on nobody, you fall off your cell phone, etc., etc. You go into a corner, a quiet corner, you do this, you do that, you do the other, and you start to shut down then. In Buddhism, the training is not to shut down or to shut off thoughts, because what Buddhism teaches is that thoughts come, they spend some time with us, and they go away. So trying to shut them down is like suppressing them. And you know what happens when you try to suppress something? It comes back up more powerful than before and swarms you, overwhelms you. I remember one of our teachers, a Rinpoche by the name of Mingyu Rinpoche, he always uses the example when he is showing his audiences, teaching his audiences about how to meditate, And he would use the example of saying, well, no pizza while you're meditating, no pizza. And so he encourages the audience to say, well, no pizza. And, to say that before, and then you go into the meditation. And what is proving there is that the question of no pizza brings up the desire for pizza to the extent where you can't even meditate properly. And so pizza is at now at the forefront of your mind, and therefore, interrupts, distracts you, makes in meditation and kind of null and void. So the human realm has all that within it. And because the Buddha as an enlightened being, is aware of all that. He has given us many practices to deal with desire, to deal with our wants, so that we can come into alignment, as it were, with the truth of things, the absolute truth of things. In Buddhism, we have what we call relative truth, and we have what we call absolute truth. All right. So relative truth could be that, let's say, I am 50 years old. I am 60 years old. I am a black man. I'm a white man. Those are relative truths. But what is absolute in all of that? What is the absolute truth where that is concerned? I'll leave you to work that out. I'm not going to do any answer to that at the moment. Work that out. What is the absolute truth? What it is really there? In other words, then, can we answer eventually through training and practice, study and so on, who am I then? Or what am I? Because why? 50 years and 60 years change. These things change. Do we? If in Buddhism, when we talk about rebirth, right, meaning that we come again. This one might be very controversial, but when we come again, are we coming back as a black man, a white man? Right now, we could say that is what we are. But even that right now is a problem, because we have learned, a number of us, many of us would know that there is something called black skin, white mass, and therefore there is no fixed thing about being black and about being white. Colors do not make us who we are. So again, my suggestion, if you are about finding out things as they truly are, meditate. I've given some instructions on earlier programs, and I'm sure that I'll be giving some instructions in programs to come. So I'm about to conclude here. Are there any callers, Charles?
So far, no, we don't. But we
Because
have a couple minutes, so let's see, people. If you'd like to get in on the conversation, you can call us at 281-1315. That's 281-1315.
Yeah, I'm saying so because I have a friend who has told me that he called several times and he never got in. So I don't know what happened. He called the 281-1315 a few times, and he texted me to say, well, I've been calling, but he never got in. And there's another person too. Well, this person, both of us know her very well. And she said she called in. I don't know how many times, but I know she called in, and she didn't get through either. So I don't know where the problem lies. Nevertheless, we hope that they can get in at some point in time. So that we could have a discussion, rather than me just running it throughout the morning with the hope that listeners are taking in what is being said and maybe taking notes. I'm sure there are people with queries, people who want to challenge some of the things that they have heard. People who may want to join a group where the things that I spoke about are being taught, that kind of thing. And we are only too willing as a Buddhist group to have you if you want to come in. We don't go about the place trying to convert or, trying to make anybody, even when you might even join a group, and we are not going to tell you, well, you have to become a Buddhist when it's a thing like that. You can remain as a Christian, as anything. What we encourage is just what I've been talking about there in the human realm, that perhaps we can lessen desire, or we can turn our minds towards desires that bring about peace, love, harmony, that help humanity. We can certainly lessen or even eradicate some of our wants, which are attached to pleasure and pain, because what we want a lot of the time is an increase of pleasure and a decrease of pain, which could be construed as both sides of the same coin. So with that having said all of that, and no one having called in as yet, let me thank you very much, Sir Charles, for having me on for another Thursday morning. And I hope that you are pleased and satisfied with the way things are going, Sir Charles.
We are getting there, Cassie. We are getting there.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, people, this has been Exploring Buddhist Concept with Cassie Senghor right here on the Era TT Radio. We thank you very much for being part of the program.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease.
The mid-morning just got better. Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
This summer, give your child skills of a lifetime with several boot camp. Children between the ages of 5 to 17 come enjoy Children Iron Chef Competition. Your child will learn to prepare healthy breakfast, lunch, dinner, CPR, first aid, and conflict management. With field trip, your child will be given free apron and certification upon completion. Call 492-7397 or 336-4935. Institute